My wife cheated on me with a 27-year-old virgin. A year ago in February, my wife cheated on me with a co-worker of hers. He was a 27-year-old virgin who still lived at home with his mom. At first, we were in terms that we were separating but chose to live together still due to our bankruptcy we have going on. At the time, it seemed like the best idea to make sure that we both had a roof over our heads and that our daughter wouldn't miss out on any time with us. But maybe a week into us agreeing to the separation, she seemed distant with me and my daughter. Not like avoiding us, but not being in the same room or really interacting with us after work. She would just stay on her phone texting and hiding the screen. I obviously grew suspicious and was hurt. Our separation was still fresh, and I wasn't 100% on board with it. Fast forward maybe a week and me her began talking about working things out, but still during every evening she was distant and hiding her phone. One day during all the talks of working it out, I had to pick her up at her work. I seen her from a distance walking in a crowd of people, and right up on her was a guy she had to tell to stay away from her 3 years ago due to him announcing that he had more feelings than just at a friendship level. I watched her get close and scratch his chin like she would do to me. She got in our car and I immediately confronted her about it. But she just said she does that to everyone. At this time I'm an emotional wreck and nowhere near in a good mindset, due to her going back and forth with working it out or not. A day later I had to pick her up again. She was alone to her walk to our car. On our drive home I made up a lie that I had been seeing an attorney to make sure everything would be a smooth transition in our divorce, and told her that he advised me that we should file a subpoena on her text messages to clear the air of any infertility so we wouldn't have to go that route. She immediately lost it, kinda like a cornered animal. I asked her to swear on our daughter. She wasn't leading me along with her co-worker. She sweared nothing was happening and we drove home. During me making dinner, she said she had to go for a drive and took our daughter with her. Maybe about 10 minutes later, she called me and said we had to talk. She picked me up and we drove down a road close to home. That's where she told me she had been hooking up with her co-worker. This wasn't my proudest moment, but I absolutely lost it. With weeks of being told we'll work it out, and then her hitting me with that, I couldn't keep it together. I drove us to her aunt's house so I could have a better understanding of what I was just hit with, and so that our daughter wouldn't have to watch it. Fast forward maybe 2 weeks later, my wife told me that a night she was supposed to be out at Chili's with her one friend was actually with him. This was weeks before anything was ever said about our separation. I asked her how she could go out and cheat, and she stood her ground, claiming that going out with him wasn't cheating. After months of this, she decides to date him. I know I can't do anything about it, but that doesn't mean I have like him. Can't stand looking at him personally. Every child pickup it would just be me and my ex-wife doing the talking, and I wouldn't acknowledge him until one time he came into my apartment, and I was sure to let him know he wasn't welcome in it. Could have handled the situation better, but he is the type to talk smack over a phone or from a distance, then claim he isn't afraid of me or isn't trying to start problems, but does stuff like that. During me and my wife's separation, her and my ex, another daughter of mine, mom had formed a friendship over the years me and my wife were together. My ex, we'll just say her name is Sarah, stood by my ex-wife's side and for most part would team up on me with my ex-wife, calling me a deadbeat to sum it up. At this time I'm working a full-time job, coming in early to that full-time job, and working a part-time job at restaurant on the weekends to pay for everything. I got one day off and I gave it to my daughter so that I can see her. Now, Sarah and her history live in SC, and at the time I was living in TN. They moved from TN to Kentucky, then finally to SC. My ex-wife and I always made the drive halfway, just so that I could get to see Sarah and I's daughter without ever giving her any grief. During these years, my ex-wife would always tell me how she hated Sarah and whatnot, During, I believe it was Christmas Eve 2019, my ex-wife had a mental breakdown over the fact that she was scared Sarah would take me for back child support and screw us over later in life. I had always paid Sarah voluntarily, so we would never have to go through the courts. My ex-wife was telling me to ditch my daughter and forget about her. Then she said something where I snapped, "My daughter with Sarah will say her name is Beth. Has a condition known as alopecia. It causes her immune system to attack her hair follicles. And in turn her hair falls out." My ex-wife got in my face as I'm sitting on the bed and tells me that the reason why Beth's hair falls out is because she is retired and stupid. I acted out of line and held my ex-wife down on the floor as she continued to scream how retarded Beth was. It took everything not hurt her because of how bad she was hurting me by calling Beth that. She uses the story now to say how abusive and controlling I was during our marriage. During one of me and Sarah's recent conversations, I asked her how she can stand by my ex-wife's side after she said all that stuff about Beth. She refused to answer me, but instead tells my ex-wife what I had told her. Now my ex-wife and Sarah will not let me see my daughters for a trip I'm making down to see them. Story number 2. Should I stay or should I go? Been with my fiancé, 36, female, for 10 years, been engaged for 4 years, have 5 children between us. Together, we had the most amazing relationship and the honeymoon period never went. That is until last year. October 2022, we lost our family home. Our landlord had to sell due to a family issue, and we were not in a position to buy. Very stressful, as you can imagine. We lived with her mom for a month, then moved into some temporary accommodation. December 2022, fiancé just started going out all the time, all day with friends. Every night either with friends or on a full night out. I was home the whole time with the kids. Then, one morning I had reached the end of my understanding, and I approached her about her always being out. She said she wasn't happy and that we were over. She hadn't had feelings for me for the past year and a half, and it was over just like that. Christmas was awful. I cannot express how much I struggled. I was very low at that time. We had decided it was best for the children that I didn't move out till after Christmas. I was okay with this as it gave me more time to try fix things. Jan 2023, things started to dramatically change. I was allowed to sleep in the same bed. We were flirting with each other again. We were getting back to how we were before. I thought that this had just been a blip in our relationship, but one that made us stronger. How wrong was I? One night she went out with a friend and didn't get home till 3:30 a.m. I carried her to bed. She told me she loved me. I was so happy. I came down to lock the doors, and her phone was like a hotline. I checked her phone, and it was our friend 36 male who was trying to get hold of her at 3:30 a.m. I opened the message and my heart was in my mouth. He had messaged her saying he was worried about her and to let him know when she's home, calling her baby and putting 8 kisses. I needed to know more. Maybe he was just drunk. I didn't have strong enough evidence. I replied to him pretending to be her, and it all came out. The next morning I approached her about it. She denied it until I told her I'd been speaking with him and to check her messages. She then broke down. She didn't tell me everything to start with. A lot of it I found out after. In a nutshell, the move had made her depressed. Our mate had seen this as an opportunity to take a shot with her. They kissed in a bar, were seen, went back to his house, and slept together. She then continued to meet up with him behind my back while I was home watching the kids. She boasted to her other friends that she was starting a new relationship. When I approached her about it, she was devastated. She said it had been over since the new year. She said she realized what she had done and regretted it instantly. She begged me to give her another chance, take things slowly, no pressure, and see where it goes. I've already walked away from one relationship with children involved. I really don't want to have to with this one. I love her more than anything in the world, but I also hate her for what she's done. And it's not just what she did, it's also how she did it. She's been remorseful. She's shown regret. She's followed the How to Show You're Sorry handbook perfectly. She's gone above and beyond to try put it right. She's also never been angry when I've needed to ask questions, and has been calm when explaining things, no matter what I ask, and believe me, I wanted to know every detail. I so badly want this to work, but I cannot get visions of them both out of my head. It's been almost 5 months and not a day goes by when I don't think about it. Then I get annoyed and go quiet. Sometimes it gets so bad that I can't look at her. At times we can't sleep together as I don't want to see her naked. Yet other times we're closer than ever before. I spoke to her today about how I truly feel, as it's only fair that I'm truthful about my feelings with her. I told her I don't think I'll ever be able to fully commit to this relationship now that this has happened. She got upset and said she has gone through the daily punishments without ever saying anything. She said she feels like I'm punishing her every time, over and over. But still she's willing to keep fighting, even if it takes me a year or more to get over it. But that's the issue. I can't get over it. I want to so badly, but I can't. I've booked some therapy sessions for this coming week, so maybe that will help, but who knows? It'll break my heart again, and it'll be awful for the kids. But a big part of me just wants to end everything and walk away, as too much damage has been done, and I don't want to keep punishing her. It's not fair to her. 6 months later, the shocking truth. So, just over 6 months since I found everything out, the first month was the absolute worst. My head was all over the place. I loved that girl with every inch of my being, yet I hated her guts for what she did to our family. She explained everything. She was remorseful, begged me to give her another chance. I did. Second month came and I was still angry, couldn't get the thoughts out of my head. Not just what happened, but also how it happened. Sometimes that's worse. She was growing stronger with me, yet I still felt like I didn't know what I wanted. 3 months came and I felt exactly the same: anger, love, confusion, and the thoughts kept entering my mind, her touching him, talking about me and how awful I was to her. I wasn't in any way, but in my head this is what she was saying. Today, exactly the same. It doesn't get easier. I've not had a day off from this emotional roller coaster since the day I found out. Every single day. Do I love her? I honestly do. Do I want things to work? I honestly do. Can I see myself with her forever? Not in any way. The most stupid thing can happen and it all comes flooding down on me. Example: a memory came up on Facebook of the day I proposed. Pictures of us at the castle I took her to. She hugged me and kissed me and held me close. All I could think of was the day I bought the ring, the excitement, the love of my life becoming my fiancé. I was so in love. If only I had known that the ring she placed on her finger would one day touch another man's face, would be placed all over his body and further down. My blood boils just typing this. And it's these things that hurt you more than anything else. They both said they hadn't gone all the way, but they did have one drunken night where they tried, but he was too drunk to perform. I don't believe that at all, but to be honest, it doesn't matter. The time they spent laughing behind my back or kissing or talking shit about me on texts, this is worse than them sleeping together, and this is what takes over my mind. We're not, and will never be, the same as we were. I'll never truly open up to her and give her all of me ever again. I can't. It's not possible for me to, even if I wanted to. So my advice to anyone in the god-awful situation of discovering your partner has cheated is to talk a week on your own. Don't make any rash decisions. Take time to reflect and know what you actually want and not what you think you want. The sad thing is, I know my girl needed this to happen to understand how much she needed me. But the problem is, now she's done it, I'll never be what she needs. I know that one day it'll all be too much and I'll walk. She knows this too. So all we're doing is delaying the inevitable.